Your Excellency, Brigadier General Retired Julius Maada Bio, President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, Your Excellency, the Right Honorable Vice President Mohamed Joseph Jallow, Honorable Members of Parliament present, members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, Ministers of Government and Deputy Ministers of Government present, the Secretary to the President, members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, and members of the Fourth Estate, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Good morning and welcome to this historic event. Historic in the sense that today we are assembled here at the seat of the colonial administration of West Africa, State House. So welcome to this historic event. Historic in the sense that 50 years ago, Sierra Leone was first elected to the United Nations Security Council, the world's most important body for the maintenance of international peace and security. 50 years ago. So distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Sierra Leone, this most beautiful country, is heading back to the United Nations Security Council. It's heading back to the United Nations Security Council for the period, in the non-permanent category, for the period 2024-2025, under the leadership of His Excellency Julius Maada Bio. Your Excellencies, this is historic because President Yaka Stevens and President Julius Maada Bio are the only two presidents that have taken Sierra Leone, or will take Sierra Leone, to the United Nations Security Council in the 61-year history of political independence of Sierra Leone. This is historic. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, today is an important day in Sierra Leone's diplomatic trajectory. And it is, I have to emphasize, a testimony of the success of the foreign policy agenda of the new direction government to project and promote Sierra Leone on the global stage as a credible and respected country of standing in the international community of states. We are a country of 7 million population. Today, we are a big country because of the aspirations of His Excellency, Dr. Julius Maada Bio. At the time when I was appointed as Foreign Minister, the President gave me a single directive: work with me to put Sierra Leone on the global stage. So today, Sierra Leone's aspiration to go back to the UN Security Council after 50 years is a perfect opportunity to tell the world about the success story of Sierra Leone as a country of resilience, a country of hope, a success story in terms of transition from war to peace, a country no longer defined by its past, but now presented globally as a poster child of successful post-war peace building and state reconstruction, a poster child of successful transitional justice, a beacon of hope for human capital development. Sierra Leone definitely has come a long way. Excellencies, today His Excellency the President will launch Sierra Leone's bid for a seat in the UN Security Council in the non-permanent category. But Mr. President, today your vision for global Sierra Leone, which has been implemented with significant progress in the past 4 years, with increasing international leadership responsibilities conferred on Sierra Leone at the global stage, is definitely now at its pinnacle. Sierra Leone is now globally recognized for all the right reasons. Today is a new dawn in global Sierra Leone. And I recall in May 2021, during Your Excellency's meeting with the Prime Minister Boris Johnson and the then Foreign Secretary, Tony Crab, when I mentioned that Sierra Leone according to His Excellency's projections, global Sierra Leone, the then Foreign Secretary was taken aback because as far as they are concerned, only Britain is leading the way. But we said, no, we are learning from you, and we can do it better as well, because we have the transition from war to peace. So today, Your Excellency, as we aspire for a seat in the Security Council, we are trying to project Sierra Leone on the global stage. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me provide for you a brief context and background as to why and how far we've come as a country. Sierra Leone became the 100th member of the United Nations on the 27th of September 1961. But importantly, Sierra Leone was first elected to serve on the Security Council in a non-permanent category in 1970-71. And this 50-year-old history is well documented and gave impetus to Sierra Leone's recognition globally at that time. That is why during that period, Sierra Leone served on most of the UN General Assembly committees, in particular the C24, the Committee for Decolonization. And some of us, especially those who are still young, will have memories of days when the then Foreign Secretary, then the Foreign Minister, Solomon A.J. Pratt, chaired the UN Security Council several times during our tenure. And in particular, our United Nations Permanent Representative, the erudite academic, diplomat, and scientist, Dr. Davis Iniko, who did Sierra Leone proud by serving a successful tenure as monthly president of the United Nations Security Council from 1970 to 1971. Excellencies, after an absence of 50 years, His Excellency the President Dr. Julius Maada Bio has decided that our absence from this important world body has been more than long enough. So permit me, Your Excellency, to take the opportunity of this national launch of Serious B to set the stage for the messaging that is so important to be successfully elected during the elections to be held at the UN General Assembly in June 2023. But first, why the UN Security Council? Our UN Security Council bid is in line with Section 10 of the 1991 Constitution that mandates our foreign policy to promote international cooperation for the consolidation of international peace and security. So this is our constitutional mandate. Our bid is in line with the President's vision to increase the voice and representation of Sierra Leone and secure the benefits of development for Sierra Leone. Our vision, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, is that Sierra Leone has maintained an enviable record of support for multilateral, rule-based, order-based world order. That is why Sierra Leone is increasingly elected and appointed to global leadership organizations, such as Presidency of the UN Women's Executive Board, Presidency of the Arms Trade Treaty, Vice Presidency of the Governing Bureau of the International Organization for Migration, and one of the co-chairs of WTO and co-chair of the UN Secretary General's SDG 4 Education Summit. Who would have emerged? Who would have imagined that a country like Sierra Leone would be given that global platform? And one of the things I always say as foreign minister is that, the role of the foreign minister is interesting. You only know that your country is doing well when you meet your counterpart foreign minister. They spend 20 to 30 minutes of your time praising your president and your country. You know immediately that your job is done. So imagine if you had to be president of Russia today. If you had to be the foreign minister of Russia today, foreign minister of Ukraine, foreign minister of Afghanistan. And that is what His Excellency the President has done for Sierra Leone and the role that I perform, making the job of the foreign minister easy because of the liberal progressive agendas that we have been able to secure. So we all know, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that Sierra Leone is currently serving under the leadership of His Excellency the President as coordinator and chair of the African Union Committee of 10 Heads of State, promoting and canvassing and advocating for common African position for United Nations Security Council reform. I am sure, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that you will agree with me that serving on the UN Security Council is the best way of interacting with the complexities of the United Nations Security Council, other than just being a mere member of the Council or of the General Assembly. Sierra Leone is a small state within the United Nations. So our bid fulfills the vision of the United Nations for small states to be given opportunity for membership to serve in the UN Security Council. Today, Maldives, not a small state, a country of 500,000 population, is the president of the United Nations General Assembly. So Sierra Leone, as a small state, is fulfilling that UN vision. So, Your Excellency, we have the credential, having consolidated Sierra Leone's hard-won peace and security, and the country's enviable democratic credentials, which include 4 presidential and parliamentary elections between 2002 and 2018, and the transfer of political power from incumbent governments to opposition political parties in 2007 and 2018, of which, Your Excellency, we are a clear, viable demonstration of that political transition. We have credentials for religious tolerance and cohesion. We have had successful transitional justice, successful security sector reform, and the serious progress Your Excellency are making in promoting and consolidating a liberal, progressive governance agenda and press freedoms around women and girls empowerment, around abolition of the death penalty, around free quality education. Sierra Leone is firmly on the global stage. Make no mistake. Your Excellency, I have no doubt we are ready. We are ready for a seat in the UN Security Council in 2024-2025. And this in itself is a testament both of our resilience as a nation and as a people, and to the efficacy of multilateral cooperation through the United Nations in successfully delivering peace in Sierra Leone. And we are always eternally grateful to the United Nations for facilitating the post-war peace building and state reconstruction in Sierra Leone. So the second aspect is, what is our vision for the Council? We are running under the theme Partnership, Multilateralism, and Representative approach to sustain global peace and security. Excellencies, Sierra Leone's vision for sustained global peace and security is rooted in 7 core areas, demonstrating a firm commitment to international cooperation based on agreed rules and a reformed Security Council, which provides equitable representation across all regions of the world, of which His Excellency the President is leading on. So our approach, as directed by His Excellency the President, will pursue priorities that support, strengthen, and address partnership and representation in the maintenance of peace and security, peacemaking, peacekeeping, peace building, human rights and accountability, women and youth in peace and security, terrorism and new threats to peace such as climate change and human security, small arms control, and Security Council reform. Sierra Leone's vision in being in the UN Security Council is to provide not only resilience but also hope. Hope that it can be done. It can be done in Ukraine, it can be done in Afghanistan, it can be done in Yemen, it can be done in South Sudan, and all the conflict-torn societies. That is why Sierra Leone in the Security Council will be a very powerful symbol of a country that has come this far. So let me move on to just briefly state, how do we intend to make this happen? What's the process? First, we start with the nomination and launch of campaign, which has already been done. And today, Your Excellency, I want to thank you most profoundly. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency, I have to crave your indulgence. I have to put this in the public domain. Without your directive, we will not be here. What is more fulfilling for me and rewarding as Foreign Minister is your personal involvement. Your Excellency, you give the directives, but you also take part and you lead. Had it not been your efforts to go and engage with your brother and friend, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, we will not be here. Had had it not been your effort to fly thousands of miles away from shores of beautiful Sierra Leone, sometimes in a very turbulent landing process on airfields in Europe, in Africa, we would not be here. So I want to thank you on behalf of the Foreign Ministry and on behalf of colleague ministers who believe in your vision, that you lead, talk, and you engage in the process. So we have had the nomination and now the launch of the campaign. So thank you very much, Your Excellency. What I want to put on the table, Your Excellency, is that this national launch will be followed by a series of external announcement events. It will start with a pre-launch reception on the 7th of July 2022 in New York, led by the Foreign Minister, and the formal launch on the 19th of September 2022 by Your Excellency in New York, on the margins of the high-level political dialogue, but also the 77th UN General Assembly. So both events, the pre-launch and the launch, will serve the purpose of the public external announcement of the bill and create visibility and audience around the candidature of Sierra Leone. Let me come to regional endorsement. It's important to emphasize this. Your Excellency, as you are aware, with your active involvement, starting from ECOWAS, we secured ECOWAS endorsement. Again, with your engagement and your directive, we secured the African Union endorsement, meaning that Sierra Leone has a clean slate candidature. We are not in competition with any other country. Sierra Leone is part of the 3-6. Your Excellency, well, let me say that securing the candidature of Sierra Leone against our very own big brother Nigeria was no child's play. And I have to say, on the personal level, I can safely say that I now have my own international diplomacy baptism of fire. So let me thank the leadership and the magnanimity of Nigeria for graciously standing down in favor of Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone. The campaign has already started. We secured the endorsement. So what we want to do is to engage with member states to secure not only the minimum votes of 97, but based on our current calculations and our engagement with all the regional organizations. We are canvassing and engaging with member states in Latin America and the Caribbean regions, Western Europe, the ASEAN Group, Arab League, the Organization of African, Caribbean and Pacific States, the Asian Pacific and Eastern European regions for support. Again, Your Excellency, the meeting in Brussels, where you engage with the leadership of the Organization of African, Caribbean, Pacific States, translated into endorsement for Sierra Leone's candidature of 79 member states. It is very clear, based on current calculation, even if we don't do any additional campaign, we have firm commitment of 121 states who have committed to vote for Sierra Leone. But we are not happy with that. We want to go for the highest number, unprecedented in the UN General Assembly. When you are a small state, and you have a president that believes in his mission to change and transform the country, we cannot settle for 170 votes. We want to go for 185 votes alone. Your Excellency, that is a tall order. I hope if you don't miss that, I can still keep my job. But Mr. President, let me thank you for something that most people don't know. For the profound efforts in engaging with your colleague heads of state. I have seen you going out of the way, engaging with your colleague heads of state, engaging with them and encouraging them, in particular some of the P5 member states to commit. P5 member states never commit. But that's understandable. But the way and manner in which you have done it, you'll be able to secure commitments to vote. So, Your Excellency, we will continue this multilateral engagement also when we go for the Commonwealth. of the UN General Assembly for the non-alignment of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. So briefly, the stakeholders. Your Excellency, you've already started engaging with your colleagues because they are the ones who will give the directive. The role of the Foreign Ministry is to coordinate and to instruct. But of course, our permanent mission in New York is at the fore of the action. And all our permanent missions in Nairobi, in Addis Ababa, in Geneva, will provide support to coordinate and also to get the commitments of member states to vote. Members of government, in particular, I want to acknowledge my colleague cabinet ministers. They have been 100% supportive, and in particular, the Cabinet Approved Strategic Coordinating Committee of the Security Council, and includes the Ministry of Planning and Economic Development, the Ministry of Information and Communication, the Ministry of Gender and Children's Affairs, the Ministry of Finance, and in particular, State House. Let me acknowledge your continued support in making this possible. And of course, members of parliament and political parties, the media, and civil society organizations. So let me conclude by briefly mentioning what do we expect to benefit from it. So membership of the United Nations Security Council will dramatically increase the visibility of Sierra Leone on the global stage. We will be sitting in that horseshoe shape with all the relevant players that matter. Every member state, the 193 member states, aspire to be in that role. Sierra Leone will be in that role. Sierra Leone will have a voice and a say on the global stage on issues bordering on global peace and security. So if Sierra Leone gets to be in the UN Security Council, we will be talking about sanctions, we'll be talking about Ukraine, we'll be talking about Russian Federation, legitimate security concerns. We will be there to make things happen, but also to draw from our experience. And the unique experience of Sierra Leone when we are there is that everybody said during the bloody civil war, nobody should engage with the rebels. But it took the leadership and courage of one man, now President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, to engage with the rebel leader. So the lesson from that we will take to the United Nations Security Council is that you don't make peace with your friends. You make peace with your enemies. That is Sierra Leone's single message. Had it not taken the courage of one man, then the General Julius Maada Bio, to engage in the RBF leadership, when at that time the RBF leadership was a significant figure, we must have peace in this country. So that is the experience that we are taking to Security Council. The opportunity to serve on the UN Security Council will provide opportunity for Sierra Leone to serve as president of the UN Security Council during its monthly presidential rotation. So it will give Sierra Leone the opportunity to shape and influence global issues related to peace and security. And here, let me digress. In 1970-71, Sierra Leone, during its presidency in the UN Security Council, advocated and pushed for the return of the government of the People's Republic of China to the UN Security Council. Since that decision to promote and support China in the UN Security Council, the benefits of our special relationship with the government and people of China are visible for all to see. The EU Friendship Building, Chiaka Stevens National Stadium, the Foreign Ministry's headquarters, the new Foreign Service Academy Building, Joy Friendship Hospital, the Bo Mini Studio. More than 1,000 students have studied in China. The list is endless. We will use our presidency. We will use our tenure during the UN Security Council to cater for the national interest of Syria. In addition, the visibility will be leveraged for gains in other areas such as economic, commercial development, and public diplomacy. But mostly, we all know that the membership of the Security Council will give Sierra Leone that power and that peace broker on behalf of the African continent. We are going to the UN Security Council as chair of the C10, advocating, canvassing, and promoting the reform of the UN Security Council. So what better way, when you are there, we will make things happen. And we have no doubt that our talk and do president will be the one who will promote the reform of the UN Security Council after more than 56 years. The last time the UN Security Council was reformed was way back in 1965, when we changed the Security Council membership from 11 to 15. So, Mr. President, this is your historic opportunity to lead on behalf of Africa. Your Excellency, it will also improve our standing, our reputation, and our image. It will also provide access for us to development foreign assistance and development aid for all those countries that have served it always have them. So in conclusion, Your Excellency, let me use this opportunity to thank those in the foreign ministry, the staff and colleagues, our heads of mission, and those who believe in this project and have made it possible for us to lead. We also want to thank our partners, in particular our special relationship partner, and also the Kingdom of Morocco, for the production of our campaign and promotional materials. So, Your Excellency, today we have campaign and promotional materials, souvenirs, and also published a brochure of our vision statement and priorities in all the languages of the United Nations, which will be distributed following the launching event. Let me use this opportunity to invite you all to read the brochure, which is not only informative, but also a beautiful document which captures historic pictures of Sierra Leone in the United Nations. Your Excellency, it is our firm desire that this endeavor will contribute significantly to rebrand Sierra Leone as we steer the country through transformative development agenda for generations yet unborn. This will be your legacy, Mr. President. Therefore, I firmly believe, as Foreign Minister, there is no turning back on this legitimate aspiration and ambition for Sierra Leone on the global stage. And for this, I thank you, and I thank you all.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Foreign Minister. I'm sure there could have been no better marketer of the bid than your very self. Distinguished guests, every nation with great ambition needs a leader who is inspirational, motivational, and respected by its peers and the international community. And therefore, it is my distinct honor to invite and present for a statement the Chief Diplomat of the Republic of Sierra Leone, His Excellency the President.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Vice President, Ministers of Government, Honorable Members of Parliament, Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that is the Security Council. We are going for that position again. These 2 unforgettable years of Sierra Leone's tenure in the Council, from 1971 to 1972, served as bold footprints that continue to define our nation's commitment to its international obligations and its unflinching support for a multilateral, rules-based world order to advance and sustain global peace and security. As a nation, we have continued to play our part as a responsible member of the international community. Sierra Leone has proudly contributed troops and police to support peace support operations so that others may enjoy the peace that we enjoy in Sierra Leone today. +50 years later, after our tenure in the Security Council, we are once again presenting Sierra Leone's candidature for a seat in the non-permanent category of the United Nations Security Council for the period 2024-2025. Sierra Leone can today proudly boast of its credentials as a successful model of reconstruction. We owe it to our global family of nations to share our experience and lessons in peacemaking, peacekeeping, and peace building. Now more than ever, we believe in an inclusive and consultative approach to peace that thrives on the consensus of United Nations member states in pursuit of common values and collective solidarity, irrespective of size, population, and economic and military power. Our time in the Security Council will therefore support priorities that strengthen and address partnership and representation in the Security Council. We believe that human rights protection and promotion builds confidence in democratic governance, bridges societal divides, strengthens a sense of common value and shared humanity, and promotes peaceful resolution of conflicts grounded in respect for the rights and dignity of all. Testament of this is in our national approach in the abolition of the death penalty, joining of the International Religious Freedom Alliance, and the repeal of the seditious libel laws. We will also use our seat to advocate for the youth and women in peace processes and peacekeeping operations as peace mediators. We will focus on threats to peace, including terrorism and new threats, including climate change and human security. As a small nation that has once suffered from the dangerous effects of small arms proliferation, we will also spotlight small arms control. And of course, given the centrality of Sierra Leone's role as coordinator of the C10 on Security Council reform, we will continue to canvass, mobilize, and promote support for the common African position. We will unequivocally affirm the need for a system which will significantly contribute to holding the principles, objectives, and ideas of the United Nations Charter for a fair world based on universalism, equity, and regional balance. We want to share with the world our unique selling points, our religious tolerance, peaceful coexistence, our resilience as a country. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, today as we launch Sierra Leone's bid for a seat in the non-permanent category allocated to Africa, I am pleased to inform that in the spirit of African solidarity, Sierra Leone's candidature has been endorsed by the African Union. For this, I wish to thank the African Union, the ECOWAS, and our regional partners for the support and confidence reposed in Sierra Leone to carry this mantle for the continent. Within the context of its international obligations, Sierra Leone has been taking a more responsible part in the global arena as a small nation. Sierra Leone sits at the Special Committee of Decolonization, C24, has served as coordinator of the African Union Committee of 10 on the reform of the Security Council, C10, with the mandate to promote, defend, and canvass the common African position. Most recently, Sierra Leone was honored to be endorsed as the new chair of the African Peer Review Mechanism, APRM, as the 35th Ordinary Session of Heads of State and Government of the AU in February this year. The list goes on. With humility, I must say that these important roles and responsibilities Sierra Leone has assumed on the global stage is a mark of trust and confidence in our small but beautiful nation. We acknowledge that this is an endeavor and it is a monumental task, and we cannot count on credentials alone, ladies and gentlemen. The responsibility of canvassing support for Sierra Leone's candidature lies not only with the presidency and the foreign ministry. I must say it is a national duty for all ministries and persons serving in government. I will even dare to say the fourth estate. It is a national assignment. I will call on our friends and partners in the diplomatic corps who are members of the United Nations during the elections to be held at the United Nations General Assembly in New York in June 2023 to be of immense help to us. Sierra Leone counts on your votes so that together we can work towards our common vision for a stable and prosperous world. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it now gives me great pleasure to launch nationally Sierra Leone's bid for a non-permanent seat in the United Nations for the period 2024-2025 on the theme Partnership, Multilateralism and Representative Approach to Sustained Development. Thank you.
A louder round of applause, a louder round of applause, a louder round of applause. Thank you very much for such an inspiring message. And I'm sure the Minister of Foreign Affairs will take that around the world to explain to his colleagues in other nations about our bid.